Welcome to the Bible Savvy Podcast, a weekly conversation about how to understand, enjoy, and apply God's Word. It's time to jump into a new passage from the Bible Savvy reading plan.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bible Savvy Nation. Wait, no, you're the Bible Savvy Nation. We're not the Bible Savvy Nation, or are we in the nation?
Ooh, or are we the rulers of the nation?
Okay, this is a technical question. When a fandom has a name, are the people who are part of the thing they're a fan of also in the fandom?
Ooh.
Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know the names of all the fandoms for, like, musicians or Swifties. Is Taylor Swift a Swiftie?
No, because she can't be a fan of herself.
Well, yeah, but but I'm a fan of you guys.
Hold on, but was Bible Savvy in your Spotify Wraps top 10 most listened to podcast? Because then I think if it was...
Here's the deal. If you come and find me and show me that Bible Savvy was in your Spotify Wrapped, like your top 5 podcasts that you listen to, I will get you a coffee on Sunday morning. Like I will give you something for the coffee shop.
How long is this good
if you're not at a campus that I'm at, we'll find a way to compensate you for that, because you got to show it. You got to show it.
There we go.
All right, we have a question, right? We got totally sidetracked.
Right. It's still December, which means we're gonna have Christmas themed questions this month. So, question today is: if Santa had to replace the reindeer with another animal, what would pull the sleigh?
That's so good. It's so good.
Flying polar bears.
Okay, that's fitting because it's in the right region. Because I feel like the reindeers are just, you know what? He looked around. He's like, I'm up here in the north. What's sizable that's up here? And he didn't like do much extra work to be like, let's go around. It's not like he flies around the planet every year. He could have found something anywhere. And he's magical, which means it doesn't actually have to be big enough to pull a real sleigh. Like they can't fly either. So it could be anything. It'd be turtles. And that would just be hilarious, just like a pack of turtles, or huge like rhinoceroses, or extinct like velociraptors. Like if you just like it would be
a way to bring dinosaurs in.
It would be the coolest, and I feel like a kid's book could be written where it's
I'm sure
it's the names like Dasher and Dancer, and they come up with new names for the dinosaurs. Oh my gosh,
there you go.
That would be fun.
But is that your answer?
There's so many. Yeah, velociraptors is absolutely the answer.
Wait,
I was trying to think of underwater things. Like, could you just have a giant whale, just like a blue whale? Like,
but then they can't be up in the air. How's he gonna breathe? You can't have.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, don't start making scientific.
Wait.
You know,
if you are in a plane flying at the height of a plane, you can't breathe up there either. So like they put you in a can so that you can do that. But like it's magical. It's not like Santa can breathe up there. He's a human being.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair.
And so all rules are off. I'm just going for wonder.
Okay. So that's why originally my answer was going to be turtles, because I'm like, if the magic is real, then pick the thing that, everyone expects can't do it. And turtles, In somewhere we go, well, reindeer are fast, so of course they get enough, momentum. But turtles couldn't without Christmas magic. But then I started thinking, I was starting to think practically, like what could help Santa, like what animal could. And so my actual answer would be monkeys. Because think about like monkeys could be like practically helpful. Like if they
go deliver the plant to the presents
like you get to it would answer the question like, how did Santa get down that chimney? It's like, well, he used one of his flying monkeys to go down the thing and deliver the
raccoons.
They can get on all sorts of things.
Raccoons are disgusting.
They can carry stuff around.
I think all of these are great premises for some movie. Like it could be hilarious to see the Christmas monkeys delivering things or whatever. Oh my gosh.
The raccoons.
Yeah, like oh my gosh.
I will say the one problem with my suggestion with monkeys is I got a little bit of Wizard of Oz happening, like the flying monkeys, the whole thing. So
that's true.
Some people might not enjoy monkeys flying over their houses.
You also could go. Man, this question went way longer than I expected. You could go for the cuteness factor. Like there's a warm coziness to Christmas that if he like showed up with like 25 fluffy dogs or whatever, you know what I mean? Like you just showed us a picture of your new dog, and it's like if you had all these little puppies like that, it'd just be like, oh my God, Santa's here! Like,
it's okay if a guy's breaking in my house. He brought puppies.
So good. Okay. I'm looking forward to people's ideas for this one. We should probably get to the Bible. Congratulations, guys. We're going to read an entire book of the Bible today. This is pretty awesome.
Indeed.
So, like, if you've never read a book of the Bible, it's going to happen today. Courtney is going to do it. So we are going to read 2 John. All right, so we read 1 John last week. We're going to read 2 John, and also I think this week 3 John is on the schedule. So you're like 2 weeks, 3 books. That's incredible, guys.
Is this the shortest book of the Bible? Verse-wise?
I think 3 John might be shorter, but maybe this one
not by verses, but maybe by words.
It's 13 verses. It is not a whole lot.
3 John is 15 verses, but I think by words we might be.
I don't know. But we're going to read the whole thing. Again, this is a letter. If you want to go watch the Bible Project video, you can. It will probably take you longer to watch the video
than to just read it.
But it does give insight. So go ahead, Courtney.
Sure.
Read 2 John.
Got it. The elder, to the lady chosen by God and her children, whom I love in the truth, and not I only, but also all who know the truth, because of the truth, which lives in us and will be with us forever. Grace, mercy, and peace from God the Father and from Jesus Christ, the Father's Son, will be with us in truth and love. It has given me great joy to find some of your children walking in the truth, just as the Father commanded us. And now, dear lady, I am not writing you a new command, but one we have had from the beginning. I ask that we love one another. And this is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands. As you have heard from the beginning, his command is that you walk in love. I say this because many deceivers who do not acknowledge Jesus Christ as coming in the flesh have gone out into the world. Any such person is the deceiver and the Antichrist. Watch out that you do not lose what we have worked for, but that you may be rewarded fully. Anyone who runs ahead and does not continue in the teaching of Christ does not have God. Whoever continues in the teaching has both the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to you and does not bring this teaching, do not take them into your house or welcome them. Anyone who welcomes them shares in their wicked work. I have much to write to you, but I do not want to use paper and ink. Instead, I hope to visit you and talk with you face to face, so that our joy may be complete. The children of your sister, who is chosen by God, send their greetings.
All right, a whole book of the Bible.
Courtney, good job.
Way to go. So much. Way to go. We're going to do some observations here. One thing I wanted to mention about letters that's important, that might be helpful as we start making some observations, is that letters are written to particular groups of people for particular purposes. And so sometimes when you're reading a letter in the Bible, a good question to ask is to say, what is going on that the person is talking to? And they don't always spell it out completely. You kind of have to use your imagination to fill out the details or say, oh, why would it make sense for someone to say that? But it's helpful if you remember that. Because if you just think of it as like a general, like, this is just a treatise on love, it won't read right. You've got to think what's going on. And that is what some of the like Bible Project or study Bible stuff is helpful for. But even if you don't have that, you might make observations and say, I think they're probably dealing with this based on the observation. So let's keep that in mind as we make observations. What do you guys see in this passage?
Well, just opening it up, he says the elder, which I'm assuming is him. He's talking about himself.
In an ancient letter, you started by saying who it was from.
Yes, who the person was. But I think that could be confusing to people to be like, why
start my emails that way. David,
the elder. What it does, it is like a memo, though, right? Like you read this, and it's a memo. It's like, hello, here's the memo to the church. The elder, and John likes to call himself fun things.
Yes,
he called himself the disciple Jesus loved. He's like, I'm the elder. Is it because he's old or smart or both?
It's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you can argue with it.
No, I'm the elder.
The elder. Although my observation is that the person he's writing to is the lady.
Yes. I was waiting for someone to grab that one.
Yeah.
It was the lady chosen by God and to her children.
I cannot help but think of Lady Galadriel because, as I mentioned before, this is a Lord of the Rings year. We're definitely,
I was like, Lady
we're definitely
who?
doing Lord of the Rings right now.
Lady who?
So let me give a tip. If you're like, who's this lady?
Yes. I was going to do a Hey Clayton, but you beat me to it.
You totally
Who's the
did.
lady?
Who's the lady?
Who's the lady? And apparently she has a sister.
Yeah, the children of your sister.
Who is this?
And now, dear lady. It's hard not to laugh when you're reading this one.
So
I
funny.
did hold it together
It's
well,
so
guys.
If you have a study Bible, look in the notes. I actually didn't check. I'm just assuming it's there because I can't imagine a study Bible not explaining this.
Saying church or woman.
Yeah,
because well, I mean, I wrote that again. I've done a study of these books before, so I kind of had that in my brain. In the study Bible, it says either an unknown Christian woman in the province of Asia or a figurative designation of a local church there. And then it says her children of that Christian lady or members of that local church.
Yeah. I think it almost has to be a church. There are things that are said here that just don't seem to make sense. Like, I'm writing a letter to the lady chosen by God and her children, whom I love in the truth. It could be a family that he just is dear to him. But when you read all the stuff that he's saying to her children, it's like, don't tolerate false teachers, like some of the things that clearly are like church instructions.
Yes.
And then when you get to the end and it says, the children of your sister, it's not just like, hey, your aunt says hi, or like your cousins are greeting you. It's saying, no, members of this other church that are in another town that I just visited, they say hello, which happens in basically every letter you see. Like, hey, greet so-and-so says hello. It's just the normal thing. So this is a symbolic way of talking about a church.
Well, and he ended 1 John with, dear children, keep yourselves from idols. So again, children, John likes to talk about children.
There you go. Our repeated word, truth, is repeated 5 times in the first 4 verses. You mentioned, I think in our last episode, John likes to write in a specific way, and like truth and love. And I was thinking about that reading this. I was like, oh yeah, he says it so often. He clearly cares about it. And then obviously later he starts talking about kind of false teachers. So it makes sense that he cares deeply about real truth.
Yeah. John writes like Dr. Seuss. It's like 20 words just reshuffled, and it's clever every time. That's how it works.
He also did I
go ahead.
Okay. He says, because of the truth which lives in us and will be with us forever. And then in verse 3, grace, mercy, and peace from God the Father and from Jesus Christ, the Father's Son, will be with us in truth and love. And I just, that will be with us is such an assurance. It's such confidence. A lot of times you'll see in letters, grace and peace be with you, or, it's almost like a blessing out. This to me feels very like confident, an assurance. It will be with us. This is an assurance.
I notice the verse 4, it has given me great joy to find some of your children walking in the truth. I just find that to be a great sentiment. Like, there is something really cool about, finding out like, hey, you're still walking with Jesus. And that's like, I have like students from years ago, and like, it genuinely brings me a lot of joy to be like, oh, you still love Jesus? I wish I didn't ever have to be surprised by that. But like, there's something about saying you got to walk the road, and maybe years later, it's really a cool thing that you're still on it. It's cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
So verse 5, I liked, again, and now, dear lady.
Dear lady.
I'm not writing you a new command, but one we've had from the beginning. I ask that we love one another. Like, there's just a simplicity to, listen, I'm not going to, blow your minds. This is going to be like a letter that, goes viral. It's just a repeating of just the basic instructions of what we've said from the very beginning. Nothing has changed. The message is still the same. Let's love one another.
Yeah. And again, it's another, I feel like we talked about in the previous 1 John, and in that episode, we talked about like, what's the purpose in your writing? I think he's so good at like clarifying, like, I'm not writing you with a new command, but I'm writing for one we've had since the beginning. This is a little memo, like, hey, remember this, love one another, because I've already talked about it once, and now I'm going to talk about it again. Like, we're gonna.
It's like, eat your vegetables. Yeah. It's like, this is what we do. Yeah,
right. And he also has such a balance, because he talks about in verse 3, I will be with us in truth and love. And he talks about, this is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands. And you've heard from the beginning, his command is that you walk in love. Like, there's a forward progression to walking. That's actually part of our family mission statement, was walk in love, because of the idea of like moving forward in something, that there's a continuation, which again, even goes back to the idea of finding people walking in the truth. Like, there's been a progression. I've seen this from the beginning. So
I like that he doesn't just say that we love one another, and he goes, and you might be wondering, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by loving one another? Well, let me tell you, like, obey God's commands. Like, there is some clarity there. I do want to acknowledge the fact that the English language uses love for everything. So for us, it might seem more abstract than it would have for them. Like I don't know what was it phileo. I'm wondering what the original word here, but because we can say I love you to a spouse and also say I love bacon, and be like it's the same word, and it makes no sense that that's how we think in English, but they had a little bit more nuance to the way they would talk about it.
We have the joke that, well, then why don't you marry bacon? Why don't you marry it?
However, there's still commitment no matter what.
Commitment
right?
I'm committed to bacon. I'm committed.
I'm committed. I'm eating bacon no matter what. Like, I love ice cream. I'm going to eat ice cream. This is a commitment. I had to fill out a thing for my daughter for her health class, and that was one of the questions, like, how do you define love? And I was like, well, faithfulness to something, right? There is a faithfulness. There is faithfulness to, again, I love ice cream. I'm going to choose ice cream. At the end of the day, literally at the end of the day, I am choosing ice cream. But there's a commitment to faithfulness when you talk about love, no matter what.
I find it interesting that he says, I'm going to give you a command. Here's the command. Love one another. What's love one another? Keep the commands. And you're like,
that's true.
Hey, John, you're doing the loopy thing again.
That's all he does.
Yeah, man, dude, like the commands are love and the loves are commands and it's amazing. I can't wait to meet John because
I can't wait to see you meet John.
I dunk on John all the time. Honestly, every time I read John, I'm like, dude, what's up with you?
And I can't wait to walk by when the two of you are talking to each other and you're stuck in the conversation and you're like giving the eyes.
I'm like, hey, Courtney, get me out of this.
Get me out of this. And I'm just gonna look at you and wave with my ice cream.
So I do.
Oh, my frozen yogurt.
Frozen yogurt for fans of The Good Place.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So I do think you mentioned. I'm going to clarify what love is. It's keeping the commands. I think this is really, really important because if we want to know what love is, it's not just what we intuitively feel like. Hey, I like you. I'm for you. So whatever I think feels good is what love is. It's like no, there are certain concrete things that are actually loving, and things outside of that are not loving, which we don't do a good job of, and to say when we read the commands in the Bible, we often are like, well, okay, these are all the rules, but let's just get back to love. It's like, no. We've been talking about love the whole time, from Deuteronomy, when it's like, here's the commandment, love the Lord your God. And how do you do that? Keep, talk about these commands, tell your kids about them and do all the things. And
faithfulness.
That's what, the Bible never separates those things. We think they're contrary. And they're saying, no, commands are how you even know what love is, because you're a silly human who often gets it wrong. So we got to describe it for you. Yeah. And that's actually a good thing.
Then he walks into, starting in verse 7, like this warning. So it's this like, love, man. And then he's like, hey, I say this because many deceivers who do not acknowledge Jesus Christ coming in the flesh have gone out into the world. Honestly, when I read that, I was kind of giggling as I read it, because I was thinking like him writing to, the lady, this church, and he's like, hey, like love and the command that you walk in love. And I want you to know this because there's deceivers out into the world. And like, your picture is like these like carnies or something like that.
the little hands. Is that carnies? Why? For our audio listeners, this is terrible.
Come see me do my carny version.
There's some carny listening. He's like, what? Do not besmirch our good name, my lady.
If you were a carny and you love Jesus and you're walking in love, I apologize to you right now. But think of the little deceiving ones.
Okay, but it's not just deceivers.
It's like the Wizard of Oz. That's what I'm picturing.
There's not just deceivers.
Yeah?
The's the Antichrist.
Yes.
Yep,
hey, Clayton.
There we go. Hey, Clayton.
Clayton.
And the guys are here.
I have some, old 90s, Christian movies like blaring in the background of my mind right now, saying Antichrist.
Yeah, no, his name is Nikolai Carpathia. I read those books. Oh, did you not read Left Behind?
Oh, I have stories about that, but no, I did
anyway,
not.
That's a deep cut for Christian culture people who were around.
Bottom line, no.
Who lived next to Tyndale Publishers in the 90s. That was me. So here's the common misconception. The common misconception is if you want to find out about the Antichrist, you need to go to the book of Revelation and you need to learn about how the world is going to end. The truth is the word Antichrist doesn't occur in the book of Revelation. And everywhere it occurs, it's in John's letters. And in every case, he says, they are here right now. First it says, the Antichrist is here right now, and they are here right now. So two things that are very different from our perception is we assume the Antichrist is a big bad guy at the end, and John says it's a lot of little bad guys in the present. And so the word Antichrist, in some ways, is very straightforward. It's people who deny Christ. They're anti-Christ. And so false teachers are generally the way it's described. People who say, Jesus didn't really come in the flesh. Either saying that guy we encountered as Jesus wasn't really God, or if he was God, he wasn't actually fully human, or something that denies the reality of who he is. And so the bigger picture for us is that forces that are against Christ have always been at work. Jesus and the apostles told us that would happen. And whatever happens in the end, whatever opposition Christ gets in the end, it's not going to be something new. At most, it's going to be an escalation or an elevation of something that has always been going on and we always need to be alert for. So if you think you've identified the Antichrist, you probably have, and there's probably like 10 more you didn't identify.
Little carnies
all over the place. Wow, that got weird.
All right, Clayton, so if I was going to lob you a softball and use a Lord of the Rings metaphor, so you're saying the Antichrist is not Sauron.
Oh, no.
But maybe all of the orcs who are doing the work.
All the orcs, that's right. Well, and Courtney, if you're an audio video,
a couple extra listeners.
Some people are like subscribed, liked, reviewed, all the stuff. So
I really hope they take that camera cut.
Yeah, or it's not the Emperor, it's the Stormtroopers.
There it is.
Right? There you go. I'm with you.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, to go Lord of the Rings. Saruman, okay, the other wizard who goes bad, spoiler alert, what he's doing is he is taking what the big bad guy's doing and saying, I want to be powerful, I want to be influential like that. And without looking evil, starts to take on the characteristics of evil. And John is saying, there are gonna be people you trust who look like they know what they're talking about. And you need to be perceptive enough to know that they might actually be against the very thing that they say they represent. And that's what he means. And because he's not just saying any old person who disagrees with Christians is the Antichrist. He's saying the people who walk in there saying, I'm going to tell you the truth, and they get a hearing in a church. Those are actually the people that he labels Antichrist. And because otherwise, you'd be like, oh yeah, that evil person that's trying to kill us. Well, I know they're not good. He's saying, no, some people you think are telling the truth. They're actually not.
Well, something I noticed in verse 9 says, anyone who runs ahead and does not continue in the teaching of Christ does not have God. The word runs stuck out to me. I know.
No way.
Because we run.
But
I'm shocked.
Because it's in contrast to walking in love.
It's because we talked about Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. So you're like, I got to bring running up.
Payback. Because it's in contrast to walking. So I did look in my study Bible because there is a note and it says runs ahead. It says a reference to the Gnostics who believed that they had advanced beyond the teaching of the apostles. And it was interesting to me because of the use of walk. His command is that you walk in love, and there's something rhythmic and slow and intentional maybe sometimes in walking versus this idea of running ahead and not continuing the teaching of Christ. And so then to read that and to say they believe that they had advanced beyond the teaching of the apostles, there's something too the slowing down and the the rhythmic faithfulness. Again, that walking in love to me shows just a faithful continuance.
The image I get is when I walk out into a parking lot. Well, my kids are older now; it's not so much now. But when they were little, they would be walking with me for a little while, and then they'd get a little. They'd see the car, and they'd be like, "Oh, got to run!" And they'd run away from me. And it's like, actually, you were totally safe, even in this dangerous world that we're in. If you just stay walking with me, but if you run ahead, it's like, who knows what you're going to run into or run into you.
Yep.
Well, I thought it was interesting. Just verse 11 is he takes it even further. Anyone who welcomes them shares in their wicked work.
Yeah.
It's not just listening. It's if you even welcome them, if you even include them in your life. I'm thinking like the modern example of like what podcast you subscribe to.
Yeah.
You know, that could be sharing in their wicked work, you know?
Yeah. It's worth thinking about kind of the social situation that they're into, just because it's different from ours. If these are traveling teachers, so you think about John or Paul or these guys who clearly visited lots of churches. Well, there were other people who did similar things, and they would show up and they'd be like, "Hey, I'm here for a little while." And if you showed up in a town in those days, the normal thing was for someone to bring you into their home. And so John isn't saying, "Wait," it says, "Do not take them into your house and welcome them." He's not saying, "Never get a meal with anybody who disagrees with you." He's saying there are certain people who are claiming to be influential, and you are supporting their ministry or supporting their influence by doing certain things. And in this case, giving them a home to kind of work out of while they're in town is essentially saying, I'm funding your ministry, I'm supporting your ministry, I'm platforming your ministry. And he's saying, don't do that. So in our context, we might say, it's okay to get a meal with someone who thinks something different from you, because it doesn't mean the same thing and it doesn't platform them in the same way as that would have.
That's interesting. I had a thought on that. I've had people say to me before, actually, a family call me one time and say, "Hey, we invited some Mormons who came to our door in, and they keep coming back." And I finally said to them, like, you need to tell them no, because they were like teaching their children. And I said, "Hey," I said, they were like, "Yeah, now they're like teaching our kids lessons." And I said, "You need to just politely and firmly say, hey, you know what? I'm going to need you to go. This is confusing to my kids." And so I just say that because that's like something that we might experience.
Like almost a very literal version of this.
That someone might experience. Like, you want to be kind and you want to be nice, but there is a moment when it's like, hey, you know what? No, I'm going to, you know. I would usually tell someone like, hey, we're not going to align or agree on this. And so, you know. Thanks for coming by, but no thank you. So.
My last observation is just verse 12. I've found a new way to end my email signature. he's like, "I have much to write to you, but I do not want to use paper and ink. Instead, I hope to visit you and talk with you face to face, so that our joy may be complete." I notoriously hate having big conversations over email, and I'm always like, "Hey, let's just meet. Let's just get face to face and talk. It's going to be be more joyful and happy that way." So I might just take this verse and throw it on my.
I love it.
Signature.
I think it's great. You totally could.
You totally could.
It's so endearing. It really is. But please end with the children of your sister who is chosen by God.
Your nieces and nephews.
Dear lady.
Dear lady.
I felt like this was the kind of like verse I wanted to put on the entire COVID experience. Like John is basically saying Zoom calls are not enough. Watching church is not enough. Like there's no, hey, this letter obviously is good enough to get in the Bible, but he was still saying, for me to communicate with you, I want to be face to face. That's where the joy happens. And like even the moment when it was like, and then we were back in person, the number of people who wept with joy and they weren't even like the people who are like, "Oh, I'm so mad about this." They were just like, "I'm just showing up," and I didn't expect it to be this way, but they were overcome with joy. Because it was like, there is something different about this being together. And I think it's true. Although part of me is like, he's like, "I don't want to use paper and ink." He's like, "Look, my hand's cramping. I'm running out of ink. It's expensive stuff, this paper."
But there is some even sometimes I think people misunderstand each other because all they do is have these conversations over text. And it's like, stop texting. Just get coffee, be face to face. There's something like, there is a God-given design here that he designed us to be in community, in person together, and barring any like health complications or whatever, like get together face to face, and you will experience the joy of the Lord. And I think he's touching on that.
I can't tell you how many times where I have been, someone has asked for advice about how to talk to someone about a situation, right? They come to the prayer center, they meet with me or whatever. And I'm talking to them like, "Oh, well, here's how I might go about it, or here's some ideas of how you might talk to them." And I realize I'm describing a conversation and they're describing texting. And I realize, oh, wait. The problem is
step one.
This. And I do think you're right. There's a lot of people who think they're talking with people, and I mean, they're communicating, but they use the phrase, "Oh yeah, I was having a conversation with someone." And what they really mean is, no, you were giving like 3 bits of information.
Yeah.
When you know, be together. Be together. True. All right, let's go to one of the M's in common. We're going to start with message this time. So let's talk about, you can grab any of your observations and sum it up in a principle that we could apply to our lives.
Okay, I'm going to go first.
Doesn't want to get his message stolen.
don't take my message. Okay, mine is so simple. It's just what John was saying in that kind of first section, but love is obedience to God. He says, what is love? Yeah. Love is keeping God's commands. Love is obedience to God.
There you go.
Sorry, I have a song in my head now. What is love?
There it is. There we go. My message was there's great joy to see people walking in the truth. And that, to me, it just echoes through all of this. I mean, there is great joy to find, like that verse 4 is, it has given me great joy to find some of your children walking in the truth. And I think that all the time. Like I've been in this church for 13 years. I've been in ministry for many, many, many years. And there is so much joy in that, finding people walking in the truth, continuing to walk in the truth. And just the idea, I said it before, like walking has such a, there's such a rhythm to that. There's such a consistency to that. I also think it kind of reflects then in verse 8 where it says, watch out that you do not lose what we have worked for. When you see people walking in the truth, you know that they have not lost something that we have worked for.
Yeah.
That's something that I labor over the faith of children, literally labor over it, the faith of children and students. And, I lose sleep over the faith of children. And so to think that there is just great joy in seeing them, walk in the truth. That is where, this phrase that John loves to use, so that our joy may be complete. Like that's where my joy is made complete is in those things. And so, take great joy in that and seeing people walk in the truth.
Yeah. Oh man. Even as you're talking, I almost feel choked up because I like think about like the especially that phrase, don't lose what we work for. Like, I mean, you guys know as pastors, like just the labor here, like I'm doing this so that you will have something so precious. and the reverse of like the joy of seeing it is the sorrow of not seeing it.
Yeah.
Is like
of someone being deceived, of someone walking away, of someone running ahead thinking they know better, which you see. Unfortunately, I feel like we see it so often. I see it in students. I'll see someone who, is believing a lie, running forward, thinking they know better than God. And it's that moment you let go of my hand in the parking lot. And I was like, oh, don't do it. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you don't have to hold my hand, but like, let's walk together.
Yeah. We worked hard for this. We worked through this. We, I have kids, adults now, young adults that I can think of like that have done that, have lost what we worked for. And it breaks my heart. Yeah. Like that is so
well, and when you think about it, sorry, I know we're discussing a message already,
but like message. That's good.
But you think about like the people who have loved you, like think about John talking about his love and have worked hard for you. That like it doesn't mean you have to agree with your pastor on every point, and it doesn't mean that nothing ever changes in what you think or do. But there's something about the people who you know to be like, they were the people who loved me. They sweat and toiled and worked so that I would have the truth. And then I walk away from that. That is a deep sorrow to see that happen, and a great joy when it doesn't happen. So anyway, okay, I'll get to my message here. Mine is be discerning about what teaching you tolerate in your community. I actually thought about doing it. Be discerning about what teaching you are listening to, but that was too much me filtering things. I think John's talking about saying, what do you tolerate happening in your community? So that's how I phrased it. All right, we're going to go to meditation here, and let's do verses 5 and 6 here. This is kind of playing into David's message. I'm going to read it, and again, this is a great one to kind of go through, kind of emphasize different words and see how it plays. But here we go. I ask that we love one another, and this is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands. All right, let's talk about the A and comma. Application. What do you do in light of this?
All right, so my message was love is obedience to God. And so my application is I will love my wife, my kids, my coworkers, and my friends better by simply following God's commands. Like I think there's a tendency to just overcomplicate it, try to think deeply, try to walk around like some basic biblical wisdom. And it's just like if you read Scripture, I mean, it's why we do Bible Savvy, right? It's like we want you to read Bible consistently because we know that if you know God's commands, you are more likely to follow God's commands, and that will be more loving to the people you care most deeply about in your life. And so I just know if I read this and obey it, that will actually be more loving to my kids, my family, and all the people around me if I do so.
Yeah. My message was find great joy in seeing people walk in the truth, of finding people walking in the truth, or something like that. I don't know how exactly I worded it, but it's all around that verse 4. And I think for me, we just discussed it a little further there, but the application for that for me comes in that walk in love a little bit. I talk a lot about consistency and kindness, and always making sure like there's consistency and there's kindness. So there are times where I will see someone. In fact, it just happened at student ministries last night. I saw a young woman who grew up in Kids World, and now she's leading a group of middle schoolers and a group of girls that I love dearly, my sweet little sixth graders. And I looked at her. I mean, I probably was overwhelming to her, which I can be sometimes, I realize, because I was like, oh my goodness, like you don't even know how cool this is that you are one of our kids in Kids World. Like you're a kid that like, I prayed over your name on, I pray over lists of names sometimes of kids. And like, I prayed over this kid. I have distinct memories of this young woman. And now here she is like leading other kids, like students, kids, like, my heart, like talk about joy being complete, right?
Yeah.
And so there are those moments where it's like, man, we didn't lose what we worked for. Like this kid is continuing to follow Jesus. My own kids, I've talked about that before. Like I find great joy in watching them continue to walk in the truth, to see them, my son, who's, a sophomore in college, one of the young men in his Bible study group that he leads is the young woman who invited me to come sit with her in high school, in church. Like the reason that I stayed in church, her mom mentored and discipled me. Her son is now in my son's Bible study. Like, what? Like, talk about like finding joy in seeing people walk in the truth. Like that is just, to me, those really amazing stories. There are also people who I have had great joy in walking with that I then have seen them walk away from what we've worked for. And I think what I have consistently tried to do is to be consistent and kind, so they know they can always come back. So I think like my application it's a little bit of a two-parter here. One application is just always be consistent and kind, so that the people who do run, right, who run ahead, know where they can come back to. They know where they can find consistent teaching. I tell people all the time, I have a young woman that I work with often, I talk to often, that has kind of walked away, just kind of lost what we've worked for. But I've said to her, I will always be consistent and I will always be kind. I'm always going to tell you biblical truth. I'm not going to waver from that. And I'm always going to love you. I'm always going to walk in love with you. I'm always going to be willing to take the walk with you. And so that's one application for me. The other application is to tell some of those people, like, hey, it is joyful to watch you walking in the truth and continuing to walk in the truth. Now, I am a little exuberant sometimes about that already. Like I say, I may have scared this young woman last night. But write the note. Tell the student, like, I find joy in knowing that you are still following Jesus. I find joy in knowing that like I prayed for you and you were a little kid. I'm going to get to baptize a young woman who, we've walked together, and I've gotten to pray for her and labor for her. Like, I need to make sure she knows that I'm really, that I find great joy in that. Yeah. My joy is complete in those moments. So, yeah.
My message is be discerning about what teaching you tolerate in your community. And the one very direct application to me and to us as pastors, and specifically my role. So as a teaching pastor, like part of my job is not just to make sure I'm saying the right things, but also to cultivate in our church places where it's like, what you're going to hear is faithful to Scripture, and that we're keeping out those things. That there is a it always feels like you're the Inquisition or something, but there is a certain, like, out of love, being discerning and saying, I'm not going to let that teaching spread here. I'm not going to let someone say that confidently. I'm not going to have people recommending that book or that sort of thing. And it feels a little bit like, I'm like telling people they're wrong or whatever. But the truth is that it's like so easy to be deceived. And that's not just true at a level for pastors. I think it's also true any place where you have some influence or authority. So like if you're a parent, like part of what you're doing is making sure in your home are not things that are deceiving people. And again, it doesn't mean that you never interact with someone you disagree with. It's not close-mindedness. It's saying there are certain things that are going to look true, but are not. It's not the thing of saying, hey, I'm going to talk to my neighbor who totally disagrees with me. I'm going to let my kids learn about what my, Muslim neighbor or, this person who just doesn't believe in God or what. I'm not like afraid of that, but it's when it sounds realistic, it sounds believable, it sounds appealing, that it's my job as a dad to say, whoa, we're not going to do that. If you're a community group leader, if you're even just a friend who's like, all my friends are kind of getting into something, to speak up and be discerning and say, hey, this isn't true. It's tricky because it looks like it's true, but it's actually not. And so taking that role, as awkward as it can be sometimes, is actually a really loving thing.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Join us again next Monday for a new episode where we'll be looking at another passage from the Bible Savvy reading schedule. And in the meantime, if you're not following along with the reading plan, check out BibleSavvy.com. Also, you can subscribe and leave a review on whatever platform you're listening or watching on. Email us your questions or suggestions at podcast@BibleSavvy.com. Lastly, tell your friends, and we'll talk to you next week.